Good morning and welcome to our Facebook Live today. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm based in Brackley, which is a small market town in Northamptonshire in the UK. Thanks for joining me this morning. I want to quickly show you the cards that we've made so far this week using the stamp set called To the Moon, which is this one here. And as you can see, it has a large moon and it has the phases of the moon, constellation, moon and stars, and some nice sentiments to go with it, and a nice typeface as well for this, and also the written elements here. So this is our third day, so let me show you what we've made so far. This was Monday's card, so our first day. Morning, Kerry, which is this one here that says enjoy this new phase of life. I'm just bringing the screen up on my phone so I can check on any comments, so bear with me 1 second while I do that. So this one we created on Monday, and I used grey granite for the images and then Night of Navy for the sentiment. So a very straightforward card, perfect for retirement, or somebody going to university maybe, or just a change in job. So enjoy this new phase of life is a really good generic sentiment that I think you could use for lots of different things, and you could use them obviously with other stamps regardless of using the To the Moon set. So I think it's just a really nice sentiment. So that's what we did on Monday. Yes. Did we do this one at the same time? We must have done. So I beg your pardon, we did these at the same time on the Monday, which was stamping the large moon image. And I stamped this in Night of Navy, I believe. Grey granite for the outside, and then I put Love You to the Moon and Back, just sort of connecting in with that moon. And then we had a great suggestion to try this in girly colours from one of the viewers on the day. So we've created the same thing but using polished pink to create a really bright girly card. So the suggestion was you could use this for children, and I know Love You to the Moon and Back is a saying that many people use with their children. I'm pretty sure it probably came from a film at some point, but I'm not sure which. So morning Tracy, morning Lynn and Jeanette, and obviously Carol, as well as Kerry. So that was another variation. And then yesterday I created this. I changed it after we finished the live yesterday because I'd actually stamped it. I've got the piece here in Night of Navy on white, but my what I wanted to create was this embossed, so I went back and did this afterwards. So I've got the phases of the moon going round in the spinner card. So we've got the new moon going through, full moon, and then coming off back. So I've combined the To the Moon with the Give It a Whirl spinner dies. So I was really pleased with the finished effect, and that's what I've been meaning to try, as I promised I'd do when we had the actual class itself, using the Give It a Whirl dies. I've added a little bit of bling on those constellations there. I'm not sure how much you can see that, hopefully, like so. So yeah, really cute card. I'm really pleased with the way that came out. So that's what we've made so far. These cards here, and the one that I do today maybe, will be our coffee and cards for the rest of this week and next week. And we were back at our first class yesterday. That was our full in-person class, so that was really nice to get back into. So today I've decided we're going to case the catalogue, and CASE stands for Copy and Share Everything. That's the version that I use. You can use Copy and Selectively Edit. And what I've done is on page 103, which is opposite where the stamp set is. We've got this card here. Now, I know it's quite a small picture, so I'm not sure that you're going to see a great deal of it. There, hopefully you can see it. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to use my blending brush to create this background here, and then stamp over. And then I believe these stars are stamped and gold embossed on top. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to put mine onto a Misty Moonlight card. And this is the stamp set here, and underneath the stamp set is the watercolour shapes. So you could use this one and this one as a moon as well. Okay, so if you wanted some different backgrounds of moons, for example. And this will cut out with the layering circles, as will some of these. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that up on there. So I've got a piece of basic white card, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off the edges with some magic tape and attach it to my piece, so that I'm going to do a panel on the inside, which is going to be that with the blending brush. And I've got Balmy Blue and Misty Moonlight, which I'm thinking for my main area, and then I'm going to stamp probably in Night of Navy. So I have some magic tape here, so you can use masking tape, you can use washi tape. Just make sure, if you're using those, that you take off some of the tackiness, either with your fingers or with your clothes beforehand, because they can rip your paper a little bit. So I'm just going to trim this down, and I'm going to use the lines on my piece of grid paper here, like so. And I want a reasonable border, like so. So I've got this border across the bottom, and I'm trying to recreate that across the top. So I hope everybody is well this morning. I understand that there's showers due here. We had rain in the night for sure, but there's nothing coming down at the moment. So let's turn this around so I can get the same sort of area. I need to take my glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. So now, if it's not quite even, I can trim down the edge of my card at the end, so I'm not too worried about that. I have cut this to size to fit the card, so that will be 10 centimetres by 14.35. Just going to peel a little bit of that off and do the same. Turn it round, because the shade of the light, like so, and then a final piece here. Round, do the same. So I've got roughly the same edging all the way around. To say, I can trim little bits off if I need to, but I really want that nice white border. The way to get round that, if you don't like doing that, is to do your piece and then cut it down and then layer it onto a piece of white card. That's another way to do it. So I've got a blending brush here, and I'm going to grab a spare piece of grid paper, which I'm going to keep to the side, just clear some space. So my plan is to do exactly what they've done, or similar to what they've done here, which is, I don't know if you can see, there's like a circle here and then it blends out into the darker colour. I haven't looked up to see what colours they've used. If ever you're looking at the catalogue and you need clarification of a colour they've used or what products they've used, then as demonstrators we have access to the recipe file, if you like, and that will tell us what has been used. So it's quite useful to be able to look that up. Excuse me, I'm very croaky this morning. Not like I've been talking a lot recently, although I suppose I was talking in class all day yesterday. So I'm just going to do a circular motion here, and look away if you're likely to get dizzy, because I don't want you to get dizzy. So if I go a little bit slower, and I want to build it up gradually, so it's always better to do it slowly and just take a little bit more time than do it fast, not be happy, and then have to start again. So I'm leaving that little section there in the middle, and then I'm going to build up on either side. I think this would be quite nice on a square card as well. So it's just building up with our blending brush. Like so. And then I'm going to start to introduce a little bit of Misty Moonlight. So, and I'm just using that sort of semicircular motion to give the sort of suggestion of that little bit of movement. I'm going to take it right up to the edge, and it will get darker towards the edge. So you can make this quite moody if you want to. Let me just see if anybody else has commented. I've got Carol as the last commenter, so thank you, Carol. So can you see that's building up? Now what you can do is put a bit of this onto the block to build up your layer of colour without losing quite so much on your paper. Oh, excellent. Hi, Catherine. Glad to hear you're working, even if I'm on in the background. Oh, and hi Sylvia. Lovely to have you join us, my dear. Hope you're keeping well. And Catherine, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person on Saturday at our class, and you'll meet Carol as well. Carol's online and she's coming on Saturday, so I'm really looking forward to that. So just blending that further and further out, and all of this edge is covered up with my tape. So I'm not very good at making things really dark, so I'm trying to be better. Sylvia was mopping her floors, but this is much more fun. Bless you. I like it. So if you haven't got a blending brush, you can use a sponge, or you can use a sponge dauber. Okay, you just get maybe a slightly different effect, especially with the dauber. Just take it nice and slowly. So there we go. Now the question is, am I going to go darker than that and add a little bit of navy on the edge? Well, the answer is I'm going to be very brave and try it. Now I'm going to stamp the image in navy. What I didn't check was that that will still fit on my on my piece here. So just building this up right around the edges. So right, I'm happy with that. Just going to add a little bit more in that middle. There we go. So there we have it. So put those away for a minute, and then let's do a reveal. Now I'm going to stamp the moons across, and then I'm going to heat emboss. So I'm just thinking logistically about which one I'm going to do first. Okay, so taking this off, and I'm going to dispose of the tape. Usually I keep my magic tape, but I don't want to transfer any of that ink onto anything else. Like so. And I think I'm going to leave that one on there for the moment so that it keeps it in place. Let me just wipe my hands. There we go. Let's move that out of the way, because I don't want to transfer ink everywhere else. Right, there we go. That's me all nice and clean. Just dry my hands as well. Okay, so on the catalogue photograph, they've got the moons slightly lower down, and then they've got the stars going across. I think I might do my moons in the middle. So I've got Night of Navy. Let's have a look and see. You can see how that distinctive stamp is working on there, because you can see, hopefully you can see that the little bits of stamp that takes less or more of the ink. So let's pop that on there and have a look. Yep, happy with that. And normally I would recommend take your ink pad to your stamp. So don't do as I do. Just checking that's all covered. Bring this back in. And I think I am going in the middle. On the sample in the catalogue, they had a bigger border at the top, which I think is why they haven't centralised the moon, but I'm going to put that, as you can see, straight across the middle of there, which I'm really happy with. Now I'm going to add the stars and gold emboss them, and on theirs they had their sentiment actually in white on top, but I'm quite tempted to keep it as a single layer card. What do you think? And stamp over there. So they've got here, congratulations, enjoy this new phase of life, in on white strips. But I'm quite tempted just to stamp it in Night of Navy. What do you think? Let's have a look. Let me find the stamp set. And also you could make this anything. Oh, I did think about doing Always Reach for the Stars, or More Thanks Than Stars in the Sky. Oh, now I can't decide. One layer, says Catherine. Yeah. I'm going to do congratulations, enjoy this new phase of life. I can always do another one after, can't I? So there's my congratulations. And then enjoy this new phase of life. And then I can have my stars sort of going around the edges. Let's pop it onto here. So I'm going to stamp them separately. I'm going to have one above and one below. Just bring in my spare piece here. Perfect. I'm not actually using a mat underneath. I would recommend you use a mat underneath. I haven't got any cushioning. This is just a piece of paper on my desk. So with my congratulations. And then enjoy this new phase of life. Now they've got gold stars. Just wondering if it would be better with silver. What do you think? Silver embossing. So I'm going to heat emboss them. I definitely like this font. I've got a hair, but it's attached underneath the block, so I think I'll be safe. I could make that go outside. There we go. I'll bring that up so you can see it. Voila. So what do we think? Do we think silver or gold embossing? I can take this layer off now anyway, because I want to do my embossing going over the edges. So get rid of that. Yes, I think you're right, Jeanette. I think silver would be better. Blue and silver always go really well together, don't they? I am going to put a little bit of tape down. Yeah, we're all going for silver. Thanks, everyone. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape down so I'm not handling this piece when I'm doing the embossing. Oh, did that and got a hair on it. Because the least amount you're touching anything when you're heat embossing, the better. So I'm going to put this one on here, like so. So they've got stars. Let's have a look at the photograph. So they're going all the way across, and they've got the constellation, but I want to keep it. I want that to be my main sentiment. So I'm thinking just maybe stars going across that way, off the edges. So what I want to make sure is that this is dry to start with. So just going to put this on top. And then I'm going to put my embossing buddy over the top to stop any stray bits of embossing powder attaching itself where I don't want it. Could also use white, couldn't you, as well? That would work across here, but not obviously on the edges. So here's my embossing buddy. Let me switch my gold for silver. And it was funny because all I could find earlier was silver and white. Obviously it was trying to tell me something, wasn't it? Okay. Just clean this spoon off. There we go. Okay. Wipe it down. Now I keep my embossing powder in little pots like this. I do recommend, if you can, to keep them in a small pot rather than in a large thing like this if you don't use them very often, because they can go off when they're exposed to the air, and if you've got a small amount like that in a big pot, it will go off quicker than if you had them in a small enclosed pot. Okay, so let's give this a go. So I'm going to use my embossing buddy over my whole card, and I'm just tapping it because although I know this ink is dry, I don't want to transfer it too much. And I know I've got tabs here, so I'm going to make sure I stamp my stars further in from the edge. So the question is, which stars shall I use? And my gut feel is I'm going to use I do like the tiny little ones, but I think they'll be just a bit too small for embossing. So I'm going to use this middle-sized one. Grab a small block. Let's put that back up there. Okay. I want to clean this first. Make sure it's nice and clean. Make sure there's no hairs on it. I don't really want embossed cat hairs on my project. There we go. There we are. So I have a Versamark ink pad, very well used, as you can see. Oh dear, I think maybe I'll choose a different one. It's looking very, it has been refilled and it worked fine yesterday. Oh, I can't see one now. That one it'll be then. So I'm just going to stamp it on there. That looks good. Actually, I've got a strip of Misty Moonlight. I'm just stamping so I can see how it's stamping. So you can just see it on there. Perfect. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to go from bottom left to top right rather than across the middle. So I'm just going to start down here off the edge. Now I know you can't see this. And I could put it over the middle. But I want to keep that clear in the middle. Okay, let's have a look at that. Find my spoon that I've cleaned, scoop up some of this, and what I'm going to do is do this edge that way, like so. I'll tap it a bit more in a minute. And then this edge going the other way. So where possible, make sure that you're dropping your embossing powder on a section that's going away rather than over the whole thing, if that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to lift this up. Oh, how do you know when it's gone off? It stops, it just stops embossing properly. It goes very dull. It can also go dull if you've overheated it, but you just don't get the shine. That's how you'll know. Okay, just flicking that off there. And I usually have a little paintbrush here just to get rid of any odd bits. So I'm quite happy with the way that has gone across there. I'm just going to add maybe a tiny bit more embossing powder on this one. It may be that I haven't stamped it fully. No, I had stamped it, just hadn't covered it. So just take your time when you're doing this to get it nice and crisp and clear. If I wanted to add another one, what I would probably do is heat set this first and then go back in and add some more, rather than risk knocking anything. There we go. So let's pop my heat gun on. Just going to allow it to heat up for a second. Bring it up hopefully so you can see it one. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see that shimmer. Put my glasses on so I can see what you can see, hopefully. Oh, there we go. There and there. Okay, so when you're heat embossing, I think a lot of people have problems with stray powder and all these sorts of things because they try and do it in too much of a hurry. So my recommendation would be just take your time. The ink will stay inky for quite a while you add the powder, and that can sit for a while. So when you've done that, just take your time to clean out any bits and pieces that you don't want. Obviously with this, you can have lots of little dots and it really wouldn't matter. But what I wouldn't want is, you know, dots all over this main bit here, because I want that obviously to be the main image. So if you are having problems with heat embossing, then I would say just take your time, use an embossing buddy first all over your paper, make sure your hands are clean, otherwise you will transfer, and if you can, stick your piece of paper down onto something so you're not handling it even when you're working on it. Right, just looking for the lid for that. Okay, I'm just going to heat this on the other side just to bring this paper back round a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be my card. Now I think what I might do is layer this onto, I'd quite like to layer it onto a piece of silver, but I do also like that nice big border. So the question is, am I going to give up some of the border for a silver edge? I can just see I've just changed the blades of my cards, but obviously I just cut this one beforehand. So any suggestions? I think I'm actually going to leave it like that. So I've got my Misty Moonlight card. And I'm going to add plenty of glue onto the reverse of this so I get it nice and flat on there. Let's pop that down while I do that. And I've got some wet glue here. Otherwise, you could easily use your seal, snail, or tape, double-sided tape. So I'm adding more glue than I would do, or rather more coverage, not adding a lot of height of glue. And if you can see that, it's literally just covering the base, but that will give me a nice flat surface then. So hovering this over the middle. There we go, and then I'm going to turn this over and flatten it. Add some good pressure all the way over because you want a really good seal. And you want so it doesn't buckle up, because it has got the heat embossing on, so it has changed the layers. There we go. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm just going to do an inside for it, which will this one here. Let me just trim this down slightly. Oh, okay. There we go. And I think what I'm going to do is put this no, I'm not going to do that at all. I'm going to use this moon here on the inside because I've not used that one, and maybe the little constellation, and maybe the stars. And that's it, we're done. Let me just wipe this piece down that I had my ink on. Put it up on the top right hand side, and I'm going to use Misty Moonlight, so the slightly lighter of the two dark blues for this one. So just going to stamp this on here. Perfect. Like so. And maybe just those small stars again. If I could see them. There we are. To make these go off the edge a little. be my inside, and I'll do the same on my envelope. So there we go. Thank you for joining me for my little case from the catalogue this morning. Let's just pop this on with some wet glue. So thank you for your input. I think the idea for silver instead of gold seemed to work really well. Let's put this up top right hand side like that. There we have it. Perfect retirement or new change of career card. Congratulations. Enjoy this new phase of life. Let me just bring that up so you can see that in a bit more detail. And there we go. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I shall be back tomorrow, Thursday, at 7 PM UK time for the last of our Facebook Lives this week. Thank you, Jeanette. Glad you enjoyed it. Just nice to do something a little bit different. And this will be our design for coffee and card for this week. Not the heat embossing, so I can't take heat embossing tools, but we could do a variation on this for those that want to. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, Sylvia, and evening, depending on where you're coming from today. And if you're watching on catch up, take care and look after yourselves too. If you have any questions or comments on what you've seen today, feel free to comment either on my Facebook Live here, on replay, or on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, look after yourselves, look after your loved ones, and I hope you can keep crafting. Thanks for watching us today. Bye for now.